Hi, and welcome to Developer Days. My name is Omar Sultan. I lead the product management team, and I'm going to get things kicked off here. So first of all, I hope you enjoy the event. The team has been working really hard on pulling together an interesting agenda with some cool speakers. They are excited to bring this to you. I hope you find the next couple of days useful and find things that help you do your job. What Nicholas has asked me to do is kind of talk about where we're going with Crosswork and NSO as a product or as a portfolio. So as I get into that, I want to introduce you to some friends. So these are the personas that we use within the company to try and figure out who our users are, what's important to them, what kind of features and functionality they need. We have our infrastructure operations, that is Ariel, and she takes care of running physical infrastructure. Her day job is, installing routers, configuring routers, running routers, basically kind of the infrastructure operations team. Next, we have Eric, and he is in charge of service automation. So end-to-end service automation, the processes that go into turning up a VPN, standing up a branch, those kinds of things. His job is building and maintaining those workflows. Next, we have our service developer, and her job is to build build the actual services that you probably use to service your customers. And she wants, development that's easy, that makes it simpler for her to beat the competition. And finally, we have our business owner, and she really doesn't care about the technology piece of this. She just wants to understand how all these tools come together to, help her grow the business. So these are the folks that we talk about when we get together and say, what should we be doing with with our various tools, with the various platforms within Crosswork, how they work, where the features are, where we have gaps. And as I go through the next couple of slides, I'll go back to these roles and show how we're mapping to what these folks need. So if you look back at Crosswork as a whole, our goal is about speed and simplicity. We want to make it easier to develop services. We want to make it easier and simpler to operationalize the tools and then operationalize the underlying infrastructure that those tools are managing. And overall, we want to make it easier to be a Crosswork customer, easier to use, easier to buy, easier to implement. And that is really a top level goal of the entire leadership team, all the engineers, all the product managers. This is really the thing that we try and deliver on a daily basis. So what are we doing to actually get there? So on the right side, this is a slide I just used for an internal meeting to talk about where we're trying to go with the Crosswork portfolio. And the where we were part is where we started this journey a couple of years ago. We had a bunch of products that were all individually successful, but they were, the reality was they were individually successful. They kind of had their own user interfaces, their own licensing. Some had APIs, some they didn't. And the thing we're trying to get to is more like the dog sled on the right? We want we'll still have individual product, but we want some consistency, right? We want, consistent user interfaces, consistent commercials. We want you to be able to focus on driving the tools in the direction you want versus managing the tools individually. So where are we spending our time? Really in three areas. The first is at the tool level. Most obviously is rolling out new features, rolling out new capabilities. Certainly for newer things like Crosswork Network Controller, this is a big deal. The tools are relatively new, and feature functionality is a top goal. But beyond that, it's not just about having new knobs and new bells and whistles. We spend a lot of time focusing on the operations piece of tools. How easy is it to upgrade? How easy is it to install? Do we have the tools in there for things like telemetry and operations and development? Second, we look at the portfolio as a whole. So back to the dog sled. How can we simplify using the portfolio, buying the portfolio? How can we make sure we have consistency and functionality, capabilities like topology as an example. Simplify things like consistent licensing. And then finally take a step further back and look at customer experience. So how do we make how do we ensure that we have a positive experience for anyone that's buying, some or all of the, the automation tooling from our portfolio? One of the big things we are rolling out, actually we rolled out earlier this year, is the idea of Crosswork automation suites. So instead of just having individual products, much like Microsoft Office or Creative Cloud from Adobe, we have automation suites now. We have two, Crosswork Essentials and Crosswork Advantage, and they're tied back to our personas I showed a couple of slides back. So we have Crosswork Essentials, pulls together all the tools you need to manage infrastructure, and then Crosswork Advantage pulls together all the tools from the portfolio that you need to manage services. And the idea is, instead of buying individual tools, you buy the suites and you have everything that you need to do your day job. We've simplified the pricing, we've simplified licensing, and generally made things easier to use. We're also working very hard on the hand-holding aspect of this, working with CX and professional services to make sure there are canned and bundled services that go along with everything we do, from NSO upgrades to deployments of some of our newer tools like the CNC or the hardware controller. And finally, we're simplifying commercial, we're simplifying licensing, we're removing PIDs, generally making it easier to buy and renew the software. And finally, challenges. We're really proud of the work you've done, and we're happy to show you what we've been up to over the next couple of days. But we also recognize there is still lots to do. So tell us what you like, tell us what could be better, really tell us what the kind of problems that you are facing in your everyday work. So that's it for me. Thank you for spending some time with me and listening to what I have to say about Crosswork, and off to the next thing.